If you are thinking about moving to Idaho and wondering what your money actually gets you here, I want to show you exactly that. This is a newer construction home in Nampa, Idaho, and it's a really good example of what Idaho living looks like right now. Hey guys, it's Denise with Avmont Realty here in the Treasure Valley in Idaho, and today we're going to be touring this beautiful house in Nampa. Okay, so before we get into the house, let me give you a little context on where we are. Nampa, Idaho, if you're not familiar, it's the second largest city in the state, and it sits right in the heart of what people here call the Treasure Valley. That's the greater metro area that includes Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Caldwell, and a handful of other cities. It's really the economic and population center of Idaho, and it's been growing fast for a while now. So why do people keep moving to Idaho and specifically to Nampa? A few reasons. You get a lot more house for your dollar compared to Boise, and you still have pretty easy access to everything Boise has. The commute into Boise from this part of Nampa is going to run you somewhere in the 30 to 45 minute range, depending on traffic, which for a lot of people moving from California or the Pacific Northwest, that feels pretty manageable. Nampa itself has a lot going on too. There's the Ford Idaho Center for concerts and events, a downtown area that's been picking up, access to Lake Lowell, and you're not far from mountains if you're into outdoor stuff. It's a city that has that relaxed, community-oriented feel. Neighbors actually wave at each other here, that kind of thing, but it's not like you're out in the middle of nowhere. You've got Winco, Walmart, theaters, gyms, all within a short drive, and there are two major medical centers in the area, St. Luke's, Nampa, and St. Alphonsus, which is worth knowing if that matters to your family. The home we're looking at today is in a newer subdivision built in 2021 by Tresidio Homes, and it's a solid representation of what new construction in this part of Idaho looks like. So let's get into it. Starting from the outside, you can see this is a single-story home with a pretty clean, modern exterior. The builder used a combination of stucco siding and stone accents along the base, real stacked stone, not the thin stick kind, and that detail really does make a difference in how the front of the home reads from the street. The roof line has some dimension to it as well with that raised center section, so it doesn't look like a flat box. It's just a well thought out elevation. You've got a 2-car garage, a wide concrete driveway, and the lot sits on just under 0.16 acres, which is pretty standard for newer construction in the Treasure Valley. One thing worth noting, this is an east-facing backyard, which if you live in Idaho, you know why that matters. Summers here can get into the 90s, and an east-facing yard means you're in shade during the hottest part of the afternoon. That's a really practical feature that doesn't always get talked about. Okay, let's head inside. The main living area is set up as an open concept great room, and the first thing you notice is how much light comes in. The windows are large and the ceilings have a coffered beam detail in this space. It's a kind of grid style tray ceiling with beams laid in, and it adds a lot of visual interest without feeling overdone. There's also a ceiling fan centered in the space, which is useful year-round here. There's a corner gas fireplace in the great room as well. And I want to be specific about that because it's not a decorative insert or a little wall unit. It's an actual corner fireplace that anchors the room. In Idaho, you're going to use that thing. Winters here are cold, and having a gas fireplace means you can take the edge off without cranking up the furnace. It's a comfort feature that actually gets used. The flooring throughout the main living area is engineered hardwood, and it's the kind of finish that holds up to real life, kids, pets, Idaho mud season, better than standard hardwood wood. Off the main living area, you've got the two secondary bedrooms. It's a solid size for a single room in a home this square footage, with a good sized closet and windows that bring in natural light. The finishes are consistent with the rest of the house, neutral tones, carpet, clean trim work. It's a flexible space, whether you're using it as a guest room, a kid's room, or a home office. It's move-in ready as is. The bathroom that serves the secondary bedrooms is right down the hall. White tile walls, a tub and shower combo, vanity with a white countertop, and black hardware throughout. And I'll say this, the hardware consistency matters more than people think. When it all matches, the space just reads cleaner. There's nothing in here that needs to be updated the day you move in, which honestly isn't always the case, even with newer builds. This one's done right. The secondary bedroom is right next door, and it's set up the same way, same neutral finishes, good closet space, solid natural light. Having these two rooms on the same end of the house, away from the primary suite, is actually a really practical layout if you've got kids or if you want a dedicated guest area that doesn't feel like it's right on top of the main bedroom. Just off the bedroom hallway, there's a dedicated laundry and mudroom area. This is one of those features that doesn't photograph dramatically, but makes a real difference in daily life. You've got space for a washer and dryer, and the mudroom connection means you're not tracking stuff through the main living areas when you come in from outside. In Idaho, where you've got 4 seasons and actual weather, having that transition space is genuinely useful. Now, as we come back into the main living space, this is where the open concept layout really pays off. The kitchen, dining, and living areas are all connected, and you can take in the whole thing from one spot. It flows well. So let's talk about the kitchen specifically, because it's the most visually interesting space in the house. The cabinets are a sage green, kind of a muted earthy tone, shaker style with black hardware. That combination works here because the countertops are a bright white, so you get contrast without it feeling busy. The island is a good size. It's got seating along one side with space for multiple stools, and the countertop extends out far enough that it functions as a real casual eating area, not just a prep surface you happen to lean on. There's a matte black faucet at the sink on the island, and above it there are 2 glass globe pendant lights. Those are the kind of detail that photographs really well, but they're also just a nice touch in person. On the appliance side, you've got stainless built-in ovens, looks like a double oven setup, a gas cooktop, and a white tile backsplash that runs the full width of the cooking wall. The tile has some texture to it, so it's not flat subway tile. And then behind the kitchen, there's a walk-in pantry. If you cook or you just want actual storage, it matters a lot. And then coming back to the living side of the room, that corner gas fireplace anchors the space really well. The coffered ceiling above adds depth without being overdone. It's a room that's comfortable to actually be in, not just nice to look at in photos. All right, let me pause here for a second and give you a little more context on why so many people are moving to Idaho right now, and specifically to this part of the Treasure Valley. A big part of it is value. Compared to other western states, California, Washington, Oregon, Idaho still offers noticeably more for your dollar. And within the Treasure Valley, Nampa sits below Boise and Meridian in terms of median price, which means you can get newer construction, a bigger lot, and quality finishes at a price point that's genuinely more accessible. The other thing people talk about when they're moving to Idaho is the lifestyle. The Treasure Valley has 4 actual seasons, real winters, warm summers, and the kind of fall that people who grew up in the Pacific Northwest miss when they leave. You've got skiing up at Bogus Basin less than an hour away, the Boise River Greenbelt for biking and walking, hiking in the foothills, fishing, all of it within a pretty short drive. And the growth here has brought real infrastructure with it. New roads, new shopping, expanding medical facilities, and a job market that's added like healthcare, tech, and manufacturing jobs in recent years. Micron technology has a huge presence here and has been expanding. So it's not just affordable housing in a random spot. It's a full functioning metro area that happens to be more affordable than most of its Pacific Northwest and California neighbors. The dining area sits right between the kitchen and the back windows, and that sightline is one of the better design decisions in this floor plan. You can see straight through to the backyard from the kitchen, and the dining space feels like a natural part of both the cooking area and the living area at the same time. It doesn't feel squeezed in or like an afterthought. There's also a chandelier in this space that ties visually back to the pendant lights over the island, so the whole back half of the house has a consistent look. Out back, you've got a covered patio that runs along the rear of the home, which is genuinely useful in Idaho because you get hot summer afternoons and cool fall evenings. And having that covered space means you can actually be outside in both. The backyard itself is fully fenced with a solid privacy fence, so it's already enclosed. You don't need to add anything to make it functional. The yard is landscaped with plants suited to Idaho's climate, meaning they're going to come back in spring and summer without you having to replant or baby them through the winter. That's actually something worth paying attention to in a newer home out here, because not every builder puts that kind of thought into the landscaping package. The lot is right around 6,800 square feet, which gives you a real yard without being unmanageable to maintain. Coming back inside, the living area is worth taking another look at from this angle. From the back of the house looking toward the entry, you really get a sense of how open the floor plan is. The engineered hardwood carries all the way through. The coffered ceiling runs the full length of the great room, and the fireplace sits in the corner in a way that you can see it from basically anywhere in the main living space. It's a well-proportioned room for the square footage. And then the garage, it's a standard 2-car setup, but it's got good depth to it. Enough room for 2 vehicles and still have some wall space for storage or a workbench along the side. In Idaho, people use their garages year-round, and having that extra bit of usable space beyond just parking makes a difference. The mechanical systems are tucked in here as well, so everything stays accessible without eating into the living space. All right, so that's a look at what you can get in Nampa, Idaho, in a newer construction home in one of the valley's growing communities. If you're thinking about moving to Idaho and want to know more about what different neighborhoods, price points, and home styles look like out here, this channel is a great place to start. If this kind of content is helpful to you, go ahead and like the video. It genuinely helps other people who are doing the same research find it. And subscribe to Abmont Realty Group's channel so you don't miss our other Idaho home tours and videos about what life in Idaho actually looks like. We put out content regularly to help people make informed decisions about this move, and we'd love to have you along for it. Thanks for watching.